Hello, we're Outside Xbox and you're watching Show of the Week.
This week I've been letting my creativity run wild in 2D sandbox game Terraria. The only limit is your imagination. Out now on XBLA.
Meanwhile, I've been eating things I found in the bin.
Oh, you mean in Bioshock Infinite?
Yes, only in Bioshock Infinite.
How is that?
Interesting, you get some really unusual flavour combinations.
No, I mean Bioshock Infinite.
Oh, that!
Just missed it. I bet.
Why are there so many silver eagles and hot dogs in Colombia's many trash cans? It must be because the city of Colombia is a floating paradise, a land of opportunity where the streets are paved with gold and the trash cans filled with delicious food. What could be wrong with a wholesome haven such as this, packed with friendly faces and...
Are you gonna throw it? Or are you taking your coffee black these days?
Ah, damn it. Yeah, it turns out Colombia isn't the wonderful utopia it initially appears to be. Who'd have guessed it?
But my city was betrayed by the weak.
Oh right, anyone who's played the other Bioshock games. But while Rapture's heyday had long passed by the time you arrived there in Bioshock 1, Columbia is still at the height of its powers, giving you the chance to poke around and work out what makes this flawed paradise tick. Turns out it's mostly the work of one man, a self-proclaimed prophet named Zachary Comstock. He has a girl named Elizabeth imprisoned in a tower, and it's up to you as ex-Pinkerton agent Booker DeWitt to rescue her, which he'll achieve through the game's endlessly entertaining combat. You carry 2 weapons at a time from the usual range of standards, plus magic powers known as Vigors, Bioshock Infinite's equivalent of Bioshock's plasmids, which range from the fireball-tossing Devil's Kiss to the watery tentacles of Undertow. Funnily, the adverts for each one don't mention the terrible hand trauma you go through each time you drink them. Once you free Elizabeth from her tower, she becomes your companion and is an endless delight, filling you in on Columbia's backstory, tearing holes in reality just to get you more ammo, and keeping you alive during battle. Added to this are inventive enemies, a story with more twists and turns than one of the game's trademark sky rails, a whole beautiful city to explore, and some of the finest gourmet trash can food I've ever seen. These are just some of the reasons Bioshock Infinite is our game of the week. Right, all that talking's made me hungry. I'm gonna go to the kitchen.
Oh, Jane drank the last of the soy sauce, so there's literally nothing to eat in there.
Not in the fridge. Hey, Jane.
Hey, is this about the soy sauce? Because the thing about that is...
It's fine, don't worry about it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you see, I found out from Bioshock Infinite's Colombia that food is everywhere if you know where to look for it. It's really a great place in that regard.
There's always a downside though, isn't there?
Oh, Colombia. From a distance, you're all sunshine and zeppelins. Up close, though, you're a bubbling cauldron of old-world racism and sinister American exceptionalism. Games are full of this kind of deceptively unlivable and deeply dangerous city.
You're from that Vault 101.
Take Megaton, for starters. This is the first city you stumble on in Fallout 3. Having just been ejected from the vault you called home into an irradiated wasteland, you might think, hey, any port in a storm, and any fortified shantytown here in the post-apocalypse. But this video game city makes our least livable list for being built on an unexploded nuclear bomb. That is some terrible town planning. On top of that health and safety nightmare, there's the weirdo cult that's grown up around worshipping the thing.
Behold the power of atom.
And if you don't die from stepping in puddles of radioactive sludge or scratching yourself full of tetanus on all the rusty iron, you still have to live under the constant threat of total annihilation should some jerk go and detonate the bomb. Move to Arkham City, they said. You'll love the gothic architecture, they said. Hardly any supervillains, they said. That was in the years before Arkham City was walled off and turned into a brutal, high-security prison complex that makes Guantanamo Bay look like Disney World, Florida. Now Joker's in charge and the property values have fallen right through the floor. What's the world coming to when you can't walk down Crime Alley without being punched to death by mouthy thugs? And when is the council going to clean up those corpse outlines?
I chose to build Rapture.
Move to Rapture, they said. You'll love the Art Deco architecture, they said. Be entitled to the sweat of your own brow, they said. They were the objectivist founders of Bioshock's underwater would-be utopia, Rapture. Who knew that self-serving libertarianism and out-of-control genetic manipulation would lead to the horrific nightmare that Rapture became? It doesn't even compare favourably to its twin city Bioshock Infinite's Columbia. At least there you get the lovely Elizabeth for company instead of these guys. Welcome to Steelport. Not only is this gang-run, industrialised metropolis in more economic trouble than cash-strapped Cyprus, it's also America's #1 city for random acts of street violence.
Time to clear the sidewalks.
You can't nip out to the corner shop in Steelport without being punched in the crotch, whacked with a giant dildo, missiled by a fighter jet, and punched in the crotch again. If the surprise airstrikes and crotch punching didn't put you off a Steelport holiday home, it's also America's #1 city for horrifying public nudity.
Welcome to Paradise City.
Finally on our list of least livable cities is the city called Paradise. Ironically, because it's a living hell if you're an actual human being, instead of one of these sentient driverless cars prowling the streets. These four-wheeled monsters roam around smashing up the place and each other, always searching for their next human roadkill. No surprise then, the streets are empty of pedestrians from the beaches of Big Sur to the gridiron of downtown. The few residents of Paradise City survive by cowering indoors from the racing death squads and travelling only through the city's car-free sewer network. So there we go. Cancel your plans to move to any of the cities on our least livable list, to which Bioshock Infinite now adds the hellish hovering Columbia. It is pretty though.
The prophet foresaw this day would come.
Now it's time for the comments section, where we share the choicest cuts of feedback from across the site, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and shouted from passing cars.
Thanks, by the way, license plate BD51SMR. I do try.
Firstly, your comments on last week's show featuring the most memorable guns in video gaming. Super Squirrel says, "Arg, I've been waffling on about the Peacemaker Carbine since the release of Bulletstorm. At last, someone agrees with me."
While Alistair Bale is deeply disappointed by the omission of Armed and Dangerous's star weapon. Not even a mention of Armed and Dangerous's Landshark cannon as one of gaming's greatest weapons.
Alistair, we can only put Mike's snubbing of the shark gun down to his crippling galeophobia, or fear of sharks. We're treating him now with prolonged exposure to Armed and Dangerous's shark shooter and the very similar Sharkomatic in Saints Row the Third's Shark Attack DLC pack. I think it's making him worse.
Hey, I'm not a doctor, what do I know? Secondly, your comments on the topic of video game crossover wish fulfillment.
Last week we wanted Minecraft cross Bioshock and Portal cross Fez. Squaresoftly wants a post-apocalyptic RPG in the universe of Halo. He or she says, Halo cross Fallout, big attack on planet, probably by Forerunner, as Covenant just glass everything to death and you're simply a survivor. An ODST/Spartan that was on a rescue mission but have now been faced with the task of scavenging weaponry while trying to train simple civilians to shoot and defend while you wait for the next UNSC ship, which are weeks away due to war, to escort everyone out. You could encounter other members of your squad backed into corners to gain team members. That's more rigorously thought out than any of our fantasy crossovers, Squaresoftly. Good work.
Yeah, by the time you watch this video, we'll have sold the idea to Bethesda and or 343 Industries. Sorry, that's business.
You can spend your money on
a solid gold top hat.
Sweet. Finally, on our video about everything Mike knows about Saints Row 4, which turns out to be a lot, Whistled Old Johnny Boy 1925 says, "Looks like Monty Python's Independence Day. What's not to like?"
While user Tasman H is not so convinced by Saints Row's foray into sci-fi territory, he says, 90% of games today are about shooting aliens and the last thing we need is another one, and for crying out loud, give us a new city.
And leaked breadburner Mad Toast is just astonished the game exists at all. WTF, isn't THQ bankrupt?
They were bankrupt, Mad Toast, well remembered. Then publisher Deep Silver picked up Saints Row and that's why it's them bringing you Saints Row 4, and where did you get that?
Found it.
Found it where?
The thing about that is...
That's it for Show of the Week. Don't forget to hit like if you liked it, and you could even subscribe if you don't want to miss another episode.
Between now and next time, leave us questions and feedback on Twitter @OutsideXbox or on Facebook at facebook.com/OutsideXbox. Bye. Oh, sorry, did you want some?
Yeah, alright then. Thanks.